Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Derek Lemaster.
And this is Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and we find out who has the balls to watch tonight's episode. Huh? Get it? Get it, guys? How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
I'm great.
Good in the hood. Oh, what's that guy?
Iced coffee with my Snarf straw holder.
Nice.
I'm not going to lie. It looks like a chipmunk. Looks like Alvin.
I thought it was a cat. Now I see what it is.
Snarf.
Yeah, Snarf. Yeah.
Jake has, I think it's Dale from Chip and Dale.
On his?
Yeah.
Nice.
If anybody out there has if anybody out there has Chip, please reach out to me. Let me know.
We must become a community.
I can't wait to
This
watch
one's
that
vintage,
on Disney
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it looks good, I think. I think it looks fun.
Yeah, it looks fun.
I'm drinking out of my patented SBM mug. You can get those on our website. Just go there and we'll hook you up. And also, I'm wearing my SBM shirt tonight. So I'm sporting the cause, as it were. Anything exciting happened, guys? Anything I need to know about? Huh? Nothing?
I do, but I can't tell.
Oh, no.
But it's all positive.
Good. So we had a lot of comments in the last episode, or a couple comments on the last episode. Keep those coming and give us more movies that you want us to watch, because we will totally be down to talk about them. Maybe. If they're terrible, Derek will totally choose them. I promise.
You don't know that for sure.
That's true.
But it's probably going to happen.
Better than good possibility. All right, guys. We'll talk about some housekeeping stuff at the end of the episode. But until then, let's start this week like we do every week and get into the horror news. Now, guys, we have some pretty cool horror news here today. I'm excited to share some of this with you. We'll start with this one. This was the biggest news. This is brand new. The day this episode airs, this news just came out. So it's been announced. Christopher Landon has been chosen to direct he's the director of Happy Death Day and Freaky. He'll be writing and directing a new Arachnophobia.
Complete reboot, or is it going to be... Is Jeff Daniels going to make a cameo?
It seems to be... we don't know that much about it, but we know he's hired to write and direct it. So all we know is that it's happening. So we don't know if it's a legacy sequel, if it's a complete reboot, or what. But a new Arachnophobia is on the way from a pretty fun writer-director, I think. What do you guys think of this?
That sounds awesome. Arachnophobia was so fun already.
Yeah. And I enjoyed Happy Death Day and Freaky. Did you guys see either of those?
I didn't get to see either of those, but man, the original Arachnophobia is it's legit good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I always thought they'd do a sequel, but...
No, it was a sizable hit too. Just one of those one and done properties. Did you see Happy Death Day, Lydia?
No, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list.
It's fun. We might have to do it for the show. It's a good one. And also Freaky, I think you guys that would be right down our alley. I watched it and it's good. So we'll have to get into that one.
The trailer was hilarious.
Yeah. It's fun. We might have to pick that one sooner rather than later. This is another bombshell news. All right. So Ellen Burstyn, who of course starred in The Exorcist, as we all know, Ellen Burstyn says she has already filmed scenes for David Gordon Green's sequel.
Oh.
Yes, she said on the news, or they said, but Twitter user asked her if she has any concerns about returning to The Exorcist and if anything weird happened on the set of the film. She said, on the new set, because I've already shot the new version, nothing weird happened. No. But there was a lot of weirdness on the first one. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this?
That's awesome.
It's good news
That's
if you
really
are
cool.
a fan of The Exorcist. Yeah.
Which who isn't?
Yeah, love those. I love it when they tie back to, like, if they have an established property, it's great to like bring legacy characters back. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
And, I mean, David Gordon Green's moved straight from Halloween Ends, which is in post, to already shooting this Exorcist movie. I mean, I didn't know it was already in production, so that's pretty cool. I'm excited for that.
Pretty neat.
I think he'll do a great job. I'm one of the advocates for his Halloween trilogy so far. So,
what's the combined total of runtime between the two movies, roughly?
Between what two movies?
The first two?
Exorcist movies?
No, of the Halloween.
Oh, Halloween and Halloween Kills?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, I should have looked that up. That would have made this next thing I give it an A+, except for like 3 minutes in the first one when you feel like the movie's gonna go off the rails, and then they like divert it back, and you're like, ah.
Oh yeah, the Sartain twist is something in 2018 Halloween.
It made me like almost have heart
We
palpitations.
watched that together, and we did have palpitations. We were just like looked at each other like, are they gonna do what it's looking like they're gonna do? Then they didn't, and we were like, oh, thank God. Oh my God. Michael Myers is fucking killing folks. Everything's fine with the world. It was a little touch and go. We'll talk about that when we get to it. 9 sequels later, we'll finally get to that one. So we've got a lot of Halloweens to go through. So guys, you know what time it is. Say it with me.
It's the Munsters time.
Monsters
Monster time.
Monsters time. So I'm going to share my screen because our good old buddy Robbie Z has
He's no buddy of mine.
Z.
posted a new bit of Munsters pics. You guys can see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Here is Mr. Gateman, the funeral parlor.
Love it. Love it.
Yes?
Is that Rod
Who's
Stewart?
that?
Well, you can't expect Mr. Gateman to run the funeral parlor by himself, so here is his partners. These are his two partners, Mr. Goodberry and Mr. Graves. So this is Mr. Goodberry and Mr. Graves. What do you guys think of them?
Love them.
And
Looks like
here
Rod
is-
Stewart.
Here's Mr. Gateman.
Oh, nice.
What do you guys think of this?
Wow.
Very nice. Actually,
This is
I don't know.
light
this
back.
is Zombo. I'm sorry, I apologize. This is Zombo. What do you guys think of Zombo?
Dude, he looks like a full version of
The Babadook?
Knives for the Puppet Master.
Oh, yeah, Blade.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Do you guys see it?
Yeah. I do.
He's actually my favorite character so far that they've shown in this.
And then we have a little clip here of
I might watch just to see if they screwed him up.
them hanging out in a graveyard.
Is that Lily? Is that supposed
That's
to be
Lily.
Lily?
And we'll see Herman here in a second, too. What do you guys think?
Mm,
Oh Lord. I don't know what to think anymore.
I don't
You
either.
guys
When
like
is-
Zombo, right?
when does this come out? I feel like
Still
it's
don't
been
know.
5,000 years.
Let's see if I can find a release date here. We're
I'm
still
gonna be in
waiting
a
to hear
nursing home by the time
release
this thing
date,
comes
but we
out.
know it's PG.
I would expect that. In keeping with the original theme of the...
Zombo looks cool, right?
It does. He's the only cool
they
character.
Look cool.
I think they
I don't
look
know. The third one is confusing. It's very, I don't know, cartoony. Or
good.
something.
Oh, what,
I don't know what
behind the scenes shot?
The Zombo or whatever you said.
Oh, Zombo? Yeah. Yeah.
What is that? That's so weird.
I don't know, but he's kind of cool. Derek loves him, don't you, Derek?
He's my favorite looking character so far.
It looks like a weird costume.
I will watch it probably just for that one reason. They finally roped me in.
Roped you in with Zombo!
I'm gonna watch it no matter what because we've been talking about it for a year.
Yeah. We've been like all about it, man. Rob Zombie needs to get us some advanced ticks.
Well, I'm going to be geriatric by the time that movie comes out.
What, next week? Oh!
I want your friend card on my desk tomorrow.
Turn in your friend badge.
Damn it. You can't.
I want to see, like, it's got to come out around Halloween. So it's either going to be, right? I mean,
streaming?
Like, what else? Yeah.
It has to. I'm thinking it's going to be streaming, right? I mean, because if it was theatrical, you'd think we'd be seeing some trailers and stuff for it by now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be streaming. We'll see. I don't know who owns the rights to that, so I can't guess which streaming service it's going to be on.
I'm going to say Paramount.
I don't know.
I'm just guessing. I have no idea.
He's just throwing some names.
I'm going to guess Orion Pictures. Yes. Guys, don't you love that Orion logo? Just, can you picture it? The star?
I can picture it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the best. All right. This is cool. Jamie Foxx is starring in a Vampire Slayer movie for Netflix called Day Shift. The plot is a hardworking, blue-collar dad who just wants to provide a good life for his quick-witted daughter. His mundane San Fernando Valley pool cleaning job is a front for his real source of income, hunting and killing vampires as part of an international union of vampire hunters.
That's cool.
Oh my gosh.
He's joined in the cast by Snoop Dogg, Scott Adkins, Dave Franco, Megan Good, Carla Souza, Eric Lange, Zion Bronax, and many others. It's produced by Chad Stahelski, who, of course, did the John Wick franchise. And, yeah. What do you guys think of this? Looks like it's directed by J.J. Perry, who was the second unit stunt director for the John Wick movies as well, I think. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, that sounds like a fun movie. I mean, Snoop Dogg is in it. It's going to be fun, you know?
Yeah.
I am 78% intrigued.
Derek and your mathematical numbers. Derek has already created a flow chart and a spreadsheet for his level of intrigueness for this movie.
How do you think I got to 78%?
He's like, pros, Jamie Foxx, vampires. Cons, don't know director.
That's 100% true statement.
Cons, cannot spell San Fernando.
That's just rude.
He was actually offended by that one.
You know what? If it was on a spreadsheet, it has spell check, so I think I'd be fine.
100% be spelled correctly. And the last bit of news is a thing we talked about off mic, so I want to get your reactions to it on mic, which is, of course, the new Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I'm down for this. I'm so down for this.
From the
I have
lover of
opposite
Lumberjack
feelings.
Man.
Yeah,
What, Lydia?
exactly. I have the opposite reaction where I'm like, why do that? Why? How do
Lydia.
that?
So here's how. I just read about it. Here's how. The beginning of this year, the original books for Winnie the Pooh, the character Winnie the Pooh, entered the public domain. So anybody can make a Winnie the Pooh story based off the
What
original
the
novels.
hell?
Now you can't use Disney's representation of Pooh. They own that. They own their Pooh. But the characters, Winnie the
Sounds
Pooh and the
messy.
characters in it are now public domain.
That
That's
is
awesome.
insane.
So that's how they're making this movie.
What the hell? I did not expect. I was like, who would give someone permission to do this? Have you seen the
No
picture
one.
of it?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you want to see
I
it?
think I sent it to you, didn't I?
It's so weird and disturbing.
It is
Perfect.
most definitely both. Oh, there's Christopher Robin. Pooh looks great in that. That's a great.
That's
It's
adorable.
a great movie. It's a great movie.
Wholesome,
You and McGregor?
lovely. I haven't seen it, but I kind of want to. I'm
It's
just,
great.
I
Look,
was a
there he
Winnie
is.
the Pooh kid.
There he
That's
is.
just wrong. This is
And-
wrong.
Then there's Piglet.
Oh my god. Shut up.
Did you read?
I mean,
do you know what the?
this is looking like Lumberjack Man.
Yes, definitely. The plot synopsis is Winnie the Pooh, or Pooh and Piglet, go on a rampage after being abandoned by a college-bound Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin is pulled away from them, and he's not giving them food. It's made Pooh and Piglet's life quite difficult. Because they've had to fend for themselves so much, they've essentially become feral. So they've gone back to their animal roots. They're no longer tame. They're like a vicious bear and pig who want to go around and try and find prey.
Oh my gosh. It's so weird.
Can you get advance tickets?
Oh my god!
I'm
You
gonna
know
buy.
we're gonna have to watch this movie, right?
I'm gonna buy 3 tickets, Lydia. You're
Oh
going.
my gosh. Don't make me watch that. Come
Yep.
on. I just love Winnie the Pooh.
First day
I
it's
just
out.
love Winnie the Pooh.
It's going on the list.
So yeah, that's a thing. I knew Derek would be in. I knew he was in already from the beginning, and I knew you probably weren't in, Lydia. I just wanted to get your guys' pure.
I had like a Winnie the Pooh bedroom as a child. Like that's like the first memories I have are of like Winnie the Pooh stuff around me.
Really.
And vibes. Winnie the Pooh vibes are the best. Just
That's
like
funny.
wood, 100 Acre Woods vibes.
I had this guy in my bedroom when I was a kid, right here. He was right there with me since I was a kid.
So,
No,
in all
you-
honesty, no joking aside, this movie looks terribly cheesy, but I kind of like it whenever they do like a weird take on stuff like this. Like, actually, the Grimm fairy tales, which originate from material that is way more dark than what it had become when it was Disney-fied, like those are very interesting to me. So, yeah, I'm down for this, but I know how bad it's probably going to be.
Yeah,
I
it's
have
definitely
no
going to be.
expectations.
I think it's going to be Lumberjack Man levels. Yeah, I get the LBJ vibes. What do you think, Lydia?
Yes, definitely.
LBJ is actually pretty good. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
It is our
Is it-
second
is
most
it
watched
though?
episode. We need you guys to change that and watch all of the other episodes. So LBJ is not the second most watched. I would prefer something like Evil Dead 2, classic, great one, or whichever episode we put out next. Always the next one should be the highest viewed. So help us out. Don't let Derek have this damn LBJ thing over us. Thank you for, by the way, making The Conjuring 2 our most watched episode. So that way LBJ's left in the dust, but
I will say, if I ever win the lottery, I'm going to approach Michael Madsen and be like, "What do you say? One more round. What do you say?"
Oh my gosh.
I
He
am
would
not
say
going to be
no.
involved in an LBJ sequel.
That's all right. I can be the producer on that one.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
We'll call it Lumberjack Man 2.
Very
Waffles.
creative. Very creative.
I added
Yeah.
waffles at the end of it. Waffle mix.
Now that we got the horror news out of the way, and I told you it was a good horror news, right? There's some good stuff in there this week.
Pretty good.
Let's get into tonight's feature presentation, and let's talk about Don Coscarelli's 1988 horror sequel, Phantasm II. Waffles.
So before we get started, I got to tell you this. So I was trying to find a place to watch this, and I couldn't find one. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and buy the movie. So I bought it off iTunes.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it happened. I accidentally bought the first time Phantasm Oblivion, and I started watching it, and I'm like, this is definitely not Phantasm 2. And so then I started like looking at the title. I'm like, what the heck? So I accidentally bought that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, at least it's.
Well, now you have that for the future.
I know.
So let's talk about our experiences with Phantasm. We'll start with you, Lydia. You've not seen Phantasm 2, and this was your pick.
Right. The first one made an impression, and there were a lot of things unanswered in that. And like, since we watched it, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I was like, man, I need to like pick that. And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's so many other movies, like it's always hard to choose. So I was like, I'm gonna pick one I've never picked before, and because I really just want some answers for this. And I'm not sure if any of those got answered.
Probably not, but you probably got a couple more questions.
yeah, exactly.
Which is what this franchise is, but it's a hell of a lot of fun getting to those non-answers. Derek, this is not the first time you've watched this film, correct?
No, when did this movie come out? Like 1987?
88.
88.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a big leap forward as far as time goes.
10 years. The first
Yeah.
one came out in 78, so it's literally 10 years later.
So, yeah, I mean, this is the same old story. Seen this movie, 24 times, just on and off. It because it's in syndication on network TV, or at least it used to be. Or
Oh yeah, USA all the time.
You and I got a little bit inebriated a year ago or so, and watched this movie. So
during lockdown, yeah.
So it's it's been a classic.
Yeah, this is one of those that I've watched this one more than I've watched the first one by like a pretty far margin. Watched the first one many times, and I liked the first one. But this was my Phantasm. This one was, I mean, you can tell, when you watch this that this is my kind of movie. Like it hits all of the points that I enjoy in these kind of movies. So it just spoke to my sensibility. But I've watched it since I was a little kid, on and off. Been on. Joey, my cousin Joey, and I used to watch it all the time as kids. We're huge Phantasm fans. Like we'd send each other Phantasm memes and stuff because we're all about the tall man. So yeah, it's been in my repertoire for quite a while. And as Derek alluded to, we watched it during lockdown, during the making of I Saw What I Saw, actually. So that was the last time I'd watched it before this time. So it's been about a year, 2 years maybe, since we've seen it. So let's get into it. You guys want to start at the beginning?
Yes.
Might as well. I love this opening a lot. I think it's really interesting and really cool to see. Like, so let's talk about the biggest elephant in the room, which is that Mike is recast. We have a different actor as Mike, James Lewis.
What? Just kidding.
It's pretty obvious, Derek.
Yeah, pretty obvious.
I'm joking. I'm just kidding.
The
And
way
I
you
know
did
this
it.
movie was in color.
Yes,
I
yes,
was
he
gonna
does know
say,
that. So the story goes that. So first, let's talk about a couple things before we get into the actual movie. This movie has a significantly bigger budget than the first
sure.
movie. It has an actual studio budget and a studio behind it, because the head of Universal at this time was a huge horror fan and a huge fan of Phantasm, which is why he gave them this money to make a theatrical, big budget sequel to Phantasm. But the studio wanted to recast, and Don didn't want to recast. And they said, well, you can keep one or the other. You can't have both. You can either recast Mike, or you have to recast Reggie. And obviously, I think he made the right decision, because you just can't recast Reggie. Reggie is Reggie. So he chose to keep Reggie and recast Mike with James LeGros. And what do you guys think of Mike's actor in this movie?
I think that was a terrible decision. They should have absolutely kept the other person. I think personally. What do you guys
I'm
think?
torn. If I would have fought and been like, why? I mean, why do you want me to pick? Like, what if we bring back one, just bring back the other one? I don't understand that, but
Yeah.
I do think that Reggie, because he's the staple through this entire franchise, like, I do see where he was the right decision. But on the flip side, it's, we'll get into.
We're not
this
arguing that you
actor.
should have gotten rid of Reggie. He 100% has to be there.
I just
I
don't
think-
understand why there was an ultimatum.
The studio needed to have their say. That's why. It's the studio.
Yeah, I'd have
It's the studio.
flipped him the bird.
I think that Michael Baldwin is a better Mike as well than James LeGros. I think he's fine in this movie. He's okay. But would this movie have been even cooler if we had the original Mike back? Yeah. Yeah, it would have
Yeah.
been.
The franchise
but-
would be stronger that way too, probably.
Yeah, because, I mean, in the rest of the movies, Michael Baldwin's back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He comes back as Mike in part 3 through the rest of the series.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that makes this even way worse. He's just different in this one only.
Yes, because the studio. So when they make the third one, it's it was a direct to video, and they gave him a smaller budget, so he was able to bring Mike back. So
Good Lord. That's insane.
yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. But
This guy did not do like such a great job. I mean, he wasn't bad, but it's strange choice, I think.
yeah. So the movie opens with a recap of the end of the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we see, basically the end of it. We see the tall man saying boy and pulling him through. Then we get the aftermath of what happens. So we get Reggie goes upstairs, and there's a freaking awesome shot. So it opens with Liz narrating. Drawing pictures and narrating, talking about Mike. And when we're introduced to the tall man is one of my favorites. It's such a cool shot. We see the hearse pull up, and then his feet get out, and he pulls the coffin out. It's freaking awesome. And the music, which is one of the best themes ever. I just love that theme so much. And Reggie goes up and sees that there's the tall man and a bunch of dwarves in his upstairs. So he's like, I need to go get a gun. So he tries to find a gun. He does, but no bullets. And he gets attacked by dwarves in the kitchen. And what do you guys think of this whole kitchen scene? Just jump in here. Whenever you guys want, jump in.
I'm trying to picture it. Guys, I watched this movie twice. I can't even picture this beginning. I mostly just because I think I was confused and I was trying to put things together, and I was like, I don't know. I had a hard time keeping up. Yeah, the minions, right? The dwarves.
Yes, the dwarves attack.
They kept calling them
Minions.
both things.
It's French.
Yeah. And then he shuts the gas off of kills the pilot lights for the stove and turns it on.
Yeah.
That
'Cause he
is
sees-
that's such an 80s like scene.
It's
We're
so
like-
cool. Love it.
It is where he shuts the pilot lights off, and because he looks in and he sees that the fire's going, and you see the wheels are turning, and I don't know how you know how much time you've got.
He was just winging it, man. He's the reg
Hey,
man. He does what
what are
he's
you
got
gonna
to
do?
do.
And then he climbs up the laundry chute.
Yep, climbs up the laundry chute. After he beats the shit out of one with a shotgun, and then grabs a baseball bat, and the tall man walks by and doesn't see him, and walks down the stairs, and then he crushes one of the dwarves with a baseball bat, and knocks him down the stairs, and then he and Mike jump out of the window as the house explodes. What do you guys think of this opening?
I mean, that was really cool. They really blew up a big old house.
They blew up a real house, yeah. And they
That
only
was
had
an
one
awesome
shot at it.
I told
Really
you
cool.
that we should do this.
That we should
Find an
blow up a
abandoned house. No, we'll burn one down. I'm kidding. I'm just joking. We'll cut this out.
Yeah, I love it. They actually only had one house. So when they blow it up, because it blows up twice, they had to film it from two separate angles blowing up.
Yeah.
So they had both angles of it for the later scene. Because they can only do it once. You can't rebuild it and blow it back up again.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to extend
So-
this budget a little bit.
So you guys are gonna have to explain this next part to me.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, real quick. I'm sorry. I thought you would. No, go ahead, Lydia.
No, go ahead. You got something before we move on to my confusion?
Yeah, so like when they dive out this window, they're on the second floor. At that point, I'm thinking, man, I wonder what's more dangerous. You just willy-nilly diving out of a window. Or the house blowing up. I mean,
Well,
I guess
100% the house blowing up.
I guess the house blowing up, but like, you could have broke your back, your leg, impaled yourself on a giant shard of glass. Like, I just
Yeah.
feel like,
Or you could have been incinerated. Because
I
that
don't
house
know, man.
blows the fuck up.
I think you crawl into the closet and you take your chances.
No, because they're perfectly fine when
I'm
they jump
just
out the
kidding.
window.
I
It's a
just
terrible
found
idea.
No, I'm just kidding. I feel like I found them diving out the window and like the sound that they make, like, ah!
Yeah, love it.
Right.
Love it.
That's crazy.
Which is
So-
like wasn't even so.
Yes. So here's where you're confused. You're wondering, did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're meant to be confused and not know if it happened or not.
Because
So-
Reggie doesn't remember.
Reggie
that
doesn't
happening.
remember it. So was it a dream that might, just like the entire first movie, essentially, right? Was this an extension of that? Because Mike swears that it happened. Reggie doesn't remember it happening at all. His house is still standing. So none of that has occurred. So was it a vision that the tall man basically told him? Because he gets locked
Phantasm?
up. Yes, a phantasm, essentially. So he's been locked up for basically the last 10 years, is what we're to gather from this, because he's an adult now, 19 years old. So maybe not 10 years. It's if he's 19, how old was he in the first one? About, because he was about
Well, I thought it was
14.
like 12. Yep,
12. So
14.
he was there for 8 years or what have you. They're playing a little fuzzy with the time. But
Since they have a whole new person.
yeah. So they he gets out finally because he knows that him and Liz are communicating telepathically this whole time. Because she has the same gift that Mike has, which we don't know what that gift is. He's
Was
just
she
the
in
tall
the
man's
first one?
No.
brand new
Okay.
character.
Okay.
He and her both have this gift, and we don't know what it is, but he's the tall man's nemesis. That much we know. And that he's special to the tall man. The tall man needs him for something. which is what the rest of the sequels are about. So he lies about being cured to get out to try to save her, essentially. And he starts digging graves to see if the tall man is in her town, and he's finding a bunch of empty coffins. So the tall man is in fact there, inactive. So
we
Reggie,
might have to. Oh, go ahead.
Reggie ends up stopping him from digging these graves, and they have a dialogue. And this is where we find out, like you said, Lydia, he doesn't remember any of this. He's like, "Oh, that story about midgets blowing up my house."
Yeah. I was like, so wait, what? Like, what is going on? This is so weird that they would show us that and show us a continuation of it. And then him not remember, like the next scene is like, wait, what? So odd. And we got a different actor. And then it's like, it's just confusing. It's just all over the place for me.
It definitely is confusing. And I tried to like really think back to when we watched the first one. It's been a while. But and maybe we touched on it then. Are these dreams or are these alternate realities? Or
That is the question, because that's actually a question that gets answered in a later sequel.
and that's more or less why I was bringing it up. I feel like you should let the cat out of the bag because I don't know that I've seen beyond this
Okay.
one.
So do you want me to let the cat out of the bag, Lydia?
Yeah,
Or do you want
I
to experience those movies as they happen? We're not going to talk about them in detail, but it's gets spoilery for you guys out there too.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so basically, yes, we find out that there's slightly multiple timelines, especially multiple realities, especially when we get to the last movie, where it's heavily hinted that this is, I'm not going to spoil it all, but heavily hinted that this whole thing has been the dreams of a certain character throughout the whole time. And
Okay.
is it a certain character? I'm not saying the person, Derek.
Okay. It
So
could
a
be him,
certain
but it could not be.
character, certain character has been dreaming these whole series of events to cope with a disease that they have.
See, and then like the recasting makes sense
Yes,
because
So-
it could just be okay.
but we'll get into that later. So that's kind of where it goes, because we know already that there's multiple different things that happen in the first movie. You know, we know that he had this whole thing happen. His parents died. The whole story happens, and then Jodie's randomly dead, even though Jodie was alive. So it's like this kind of what's real, what's not. Where are we in this timeline, kind of thing. So Reggie and Mike head up to are going to the house, and he has a vision of the tall man. And he basically tells him he's going to blow up the house. And then we get to watch the house explode again. And Reggie's entire family dies. His wife, his sister, and his daughter all die in this horrible fire. And we get this great line of dialogue afterwards where Reggie's narrating, and he says, "He didn't have to tell me after that. I signed up for the duration." And you're like, yeah, what a cool line. What do you guys think of the funeral scene and all of this?
It's crazy because now Reggie is like completely on board.
100%.
Just like flip the switch. Like he didn't believe him. He's trying to help him, and now he's like, "You knew before."
Yeah.
Which I feel like I would have drawn a different conclusion there.
Well, so I was
feel like I would
thinking
have been
that
like,
too.
"You knew before, so you probably blew my house up."
Except that he couldn't have.
Yeah, because he
Separate
was
because he wasn't
there
there.
until he went to find him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, the only logical conclusion is this crazy stuff that he's been telling this whole time. Like, How did you know? Well, because Reggie, I told you I have premonitions and I can see these things. So, I mean, you can only see it happen for real so many times before you're like, oh, shit, okay. And Reggie has nothing else to live for. He has nothing to lose now. It's like, I'm in.
No,
Let's
I
go.
get it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
really
let's go
like
hunt this.
Reggie.
And guys, the car is so gorgeous, right?
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Oh, that CUDA is so beautiful, right? And when the
Yeah,
first scene we see
know.
it, it's playing the Phantasm theme. You're like, yeah, I'm on board. Then we get one of my favorite sequences of the entire movie, which is them shopping
Yep.
for their weapons. What do you guys think of this bit?
Classic weapons shopping scenes. So good.
I love at the end when he opens up the cash register and just drops a lot of cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I also
Reminding
like how
they're the good guys.
Yeah. Well, also, I think it's funny that they took the time to modify some of the weapons while they were there. Like,
yeah, I love
grab
it.
and go. Yeah.
No, I love it. It's
Very creative.
It's our Evil Dead montage. It's the best. It's the best. So let's talk about these weapons. What do you guys think of the 4-barreled shotgun?
Awesome.
That's really cool.
Incredible. One of the best weapons ever.
It is. I love it when he actually uses it on something.
Yeah. It's awesome. And then Mike's freaking flamethrower he essentially builds. Yeah.
So
and
the weapon itself is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like this look. I like him having the welder's mask that he can pull down, wears it up. It's a cool, like, movie costume. You know what I mean? It's such a cool action hero look.
It is. I see where you're coming from. But every time he, like, pulls that visor down, like, the practical side of me is just like, he's just narrowed his vision to just like this. You know what I mean? Like,
he's also saved his face from melting off.
Well, he has, but, you know, if anybody's coming
but
from
more
the side,
importantly, film, guys, is a visual medium.
it
looks awesome.
It does look good. But he's vulnerable to attack.
So this next bit, we get this. They stop off at this place because they said that sometimes a tall man sets traps for him. And they wind up in this graveyard. And it's complete. I love this image of them walking in a graveyard and it's all dug up and empty. And they're walking between the empty graves. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, that was a really cool visual of just the holes in the ground. Like, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I loved it. And what do you think
of the visuals in this movie?
Oh, I love them. Yeah.
This is one of them that it really stands out. It's very nice.
What do you guys, Lydia, when you're watching this for the first time and your second time through, what did you think of when this fucking creature pops out of Liz's back?
Oh man, that was like, I thought it was really her. Like, I was like, oh, she's gone already. Like, oh man, that thing. My first thought was honestly Freddy Krueger.
Mine
right?
too.
I mean, like, that thing is like straight out of Nightmare on Elm Street. Like,
it has a very nightmare vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Very freaky, very gross. Ugh.
The way it comes out is really cool. It's nasty looking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great trick, for sure.
Yeah. And that while we're there, I love that set that they're on. Like the way it looks, the way it's colored and grungy. I love that set. It looks like $1 million. I was like, man, great set design here. Really sets the atmosphere up. So this next bit, we end up in Paraguay, which is where they say they need to go. That's where everything's pointing them to go is Paraguay. And that's where Liz lives. And we find out that her grandpa has just died. So they're having a funeral. The grandma's alive, and they're having a funeral for the grandpa. And a bunch of funky shit happens here during this whole section. So we get a callback to Phantasm I. She's walking in the mausoleum and is stopped by the tall man. And, you know, she sticks a freaking pin through his thumb or through his whole finger. What do you guys think of this bit?
It's fun, and this is where HD can really take away. It depends on how close you're paying attention. Because in the version that I have, it's higher definition, and you can see where they have like the pin come down and then like it goes around his finger
Oh yeah,
ever so slightly.
that stuff doesn't take away anything for me. That just
No, it
makes
doesn't
magic.
for me. It HD like I never noticed that before. Probably because it was in a lower resolution and you really couldn't distinguish that detail. But I actually rewound it because I was like, did I just see that? And I did. But yeah, it's pretty neat, and it's also pretty cool that it's not blood.
Yeah, it's that embalming fluid, and he licks it off at the end. What do you think of this bit, Lydia?
Oh man, that fluid is so good. I love the color of it.
Yeah, and the consistency.
It's beautiful. Brilliant.
Man, you know how like you can think of characters, and you could a lot of times you can recast them, right? And we do this every single week.
Yes, we do.
Recast.
We will at the end of this episode as well.
Yeah, we recast a character as Tom Atkins. There is nobody that I can think of that you could recast the tall man as.
No.
Like, it's just, that's him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Thought I'd throw that out there. He's perfectly cast.
Yeah, Angus Grimm. Lydia, what do you think of Angus in this movie? We talked about him in the first one. What do you think about him in this one?
He is absolutely terrifying.
He is, yes.
Even his name is terrifying. I mean, like, but like, he is such a, oh man, I would seriously be so scared if I saw that guy.
Yeah, he's very imposing.
Yeah.
He's got such a great voice.
Something about him. Perfect cast for this, for sure.
It's the way he moves his face at times too, and the way he does that like eyebrow, and yeah.
He's so mean.
His facial expressions.
So mean.
Yeah. So
you
good.
know,
and his cape
some villains.
When he's talking.
Yeah, like some villains aren't mean enough. Like this guy is like mean and scary and dangerous. You know, like
hits all the notes.
Yeah. Nightmare fuel.
This priest knows that like what's going on. He's basically a party to what's going on. So he can't live with himself anymore. So he tries to end the blasphemy. And he stabs the grandpa with a knife. And the grandma comes in and sees it and fucking faints, obviously. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
It was like a mini sword, man. He impaled that guy.
It was pretty big.
Yeah, and then his wife walks in and she's like, "Oh," she falls over.
Falls right to the ground. So one thing we didn't talk about while they were going through the fun house where they meet the bat lady is Mike sees like a corpse of a dead woman.
Yep, I was gonna
on a slab. And he sees her, he turns away and looks back and she's gone. Well, about this point in the movie, they're on the road, like they are, and Mike wakes up from a dream, and because he sees her on the side of the highway in his dream, he wakes up and Reggie has picked her up, and Mike, so they go to the bathroom, basically to talk, and Mike's like, "Hey, this is the woman that corpse I told you about. This is her. I saw her on the side of the road too. I think if she stays with us, she's going to be in danger." And Reggie is like, "Well, I mean, it gets hard out here on the road."
This whole scene is hilarious because the dialogue and also like his gestures, like what he means.
Oh yeah, when he says you think with the wrong head, Reg.
Out here on the road. Yeah.
You think with the wrong head, Reg, and he's like, "Well, won't she be safer with us?" I guess you're right. Well, I guess I'm right. He's just flirting with her the whole time. It's so funny. What do you think, Lydia?
I mean, like, I feel like I knew she was bad news, like, immediately. Like, there's he, like, saw her, something's weird, like, It's not a good sign. Not a good sign, right? But
No.
like as the movie goes on, you're like, okay, she's maybe she's cool. Like she's just hanging out. Like nothing bad is happening for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. For basically the duration of the movie.
Well, and
Yeah.
she doesn't have like in the scene that we first see her when she's on the slab, in the morgue, like, she's been cut open.
Yeah, autopsy.
And
Yeah.
so there's a scene where you get to verify if that is accurate or not, and it's not. So at that point, you might just be blowing it off.
Yeah. So they arrive at Paraguay, and before they arrive, Liz's grandma. So there's this bit with the grandpa. There's a couple different scenes with him.
Two of them. Yeah.
What do you guys think of both of these? What do you think of the scene with the priest and the grandpa?
There's three.
One of my favorite. Yes, there is three technically. But
because the creepiest one is when he's laying on the slab in right before they're prepping him for the funeral, and they're sewing his lips shut. Man, that is such a great scene.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, because it looks good. It looks really good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It came across very well.
It looks too good.
Yeah,
it did look too good. I was like, maybe they paid him extra.
Here's your lips real quick.
What do you guys think of the priest scene here?
When he's like, he knocks on the door.
He's like, it's just the wind, and he's drinking his whiskey, and then it goes again, and he's like, damn this wind, and he opens up the thing, and you get that push-in shot of the grandpa's face. What do you guys think of that? I love it.
Super creepy.
Yeah, I liked it too. Yeah. I relate to that. Damn this wind.
It's just the wind. Damn it.
Damn this wind. I get so mad.
And then,
that guy did a good job. I thought that guy's scene was a good one. Like
the priest?
I appreciated that priest's acting.
No, I do too. I think he's really good, actually. Yeah. He has a couple of other cool scenes coming up. And then the grandma sees old boy laying in her bed. Grandpa laying in her bed. Did that one creep you out?
Yeah, that was really creepy too.
Yeah. Because the way he looks at her, he's just, his mouth sewn shut, and he just kind of looks over at her. No bueno.
No bueno.
No.
Hey, Lydia, for Halloween, I want you to paint my face and make it look like that. I'm going to scare the crap out of my son.
I could do that. That would be fun.
He'll have nightmares until he's like 50.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
My dad.
That would be traumatizing.
Especially
if you like sneak into his bed somehow and like he like turns.
I might be taking it a little far. Maybe once like I knock on the door and he like opens it up and I'm like, whoa.
Or if you're under the bed and you like make some noises and then
that's
he
too
looks.
far too. That's too far.
That might be that's therapy level. You're getting into therapy level now.
They're gonna call Child Protective Services.
Yes, CPS is on the way now.
That guy over there is
hiding under his kid's bed.
I thought I heard you
documentaries
wanted to
about
traumatize your kid.
That's the way to do it. That's the way.
That's the way. I'm just trying to help you out.
So Grandma dies.
Yep.
She's done. And
Dunzo.
I mean, she gets kidnapped essentially, and she's dead essentially. But he leaves the pin in the dresser as a calling card, and then she telepathically hears him saying, "Come and get her." And then we get this really cool shot of her walking up to the mortuary, and we see this beautiful shot of the mortuary in its windows with the red curtains. Love that. Looks great, I think. So she goes in after the tall man and runs into a couple different adventures here. So that priest that we talked about has a great scene here. What do you guys think of his scene with the tall man?
he goes in and like opens the box with the chrome.
The balls. Yeah.
What are those called? Are those called something?
Spheres. I think it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they should have a name, but they're really just and those are the most like perplexing thing.
They're so
like,
cool.
how do those things work?
We find that out actually in the next movie.
Okay, all right, because it seems like they just do not care who they're going after. I don't
We do
understand how
find
they
out in the next
control
movie.
it all.
Yep.
Ah, dang it! More questions.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes in and like touches like the top of the screen that pokes him or something,
Yeah.
and then he gets scared. I'm like, why are you touching that? Don't touch it.
Yeah. So he starts blessing the whole place.
Because
Then
that
what
is
happens?
helpful.
Then what happens, Lydia?
Tall man comes in and starts using his mind powers to hang him up by his neck by his own rosary beads.
Yeah. And the cross
Really cool effect.
goes upside down. Hanging
Yes, the
upside
cross
down.
is hanging him. And like I love because like it looks like they shot it like probably just like they just like flipped the camera upside
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
right?
For the
probably.
upside down
Which
cross, yeah.
Yep.
Loved it. I loved it. It looked really good. I don't know. That all looked good to me. But I like that he is so scared and he's like, so Tall Man says,
You think that when you die, you go to heaven. You come to us.
Yeah.
yes. Dude, I was like, oh my God, he's so scary. And then drops him to the ground and he wants to reach for the rosary beads and he's just like, yeah, never mind. And like scuttles out of the room.
Yeah. He's out, man. I
Yeah.
love that so much. There's this. So Liz is still floating around here, and she gets the priest grabs her by the mouth and pulls her in, and he's like, "What the hell? What are you doing in this hell-forsaken place?" Blah blah, and the spheres get released, and there's this beautiful shot of the spheres being released. Right? Isn't it like a gorgeous shot? We
It
see
is.
them eject out, and we see the first two. Then the middle one comes out, and it's like, boom, right in the camera. And then it takes off, and we hear it coming, and it takes old priest boy out with another brain sucking scene. What do you guys think of this brain sucking scene compared to the last one?
There's a couple like editing issues in this one. Not like major anything like too major, but I noticed there was some like just some weird editing in it. But the only thing I could assume watching it twice was that they missed something or they didn't get exactly what they wanted.
MPAA is what happened.
Oh, okay.
They cut frames to get the R rating.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There was less pee in this one too compared to the first movie.
Yes.
Because I remember that scene differently. Is there a cut where it shows that? Because I remember, I feel like I remember seeing the blood like get squirted out. I felt like they definitely cut.
You
some stuff out of
do.
it.
You're thinking of the first movie.
Maybe I am.
Yep.
Yeah,
First
definitely
movie shows it
in
more.
The first movie.
Yeah. In this one, we just get more of a close up, and then we see a little bit of it, and then we see the spurt because
it cuts out the fountaining part.
And the
That's
reason
it.
I think they had to, I think the compromise was because they show it at the end with the tall man, and Don rightfully was like, "Well, if we have to get rid of one, this is the one we need to show because he's our main villain," which makes way more sense.
Can you imagine? They had so many issues back then with blood in movies.
We still do sometimes, but not near as much as we did in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, like the Evil Dead, all the different colors they had to use, and I think this
and
was
they still got an X.
Pretty heavily inspired, right?
Oh yeah. This is Evil Dead 2 inspired, 100%.
Yes. Okay, just making sure. I saw
I mean,
the.
I think it might just be similar. I mean, because Evil Dead 2 came out in '87, so a year before this. So he may have saw a cut of it, but they were probably filming around that time. And the script
did
was
you
already
guys see
written.
the Sam Raimi?
Yes,
Shout
yes, I did see the Sam Raimi
I-
shout out.
That
It's
blew
great.
my mind.
Yeah, because they're buddies. So
I missed it. What was it?
later in the movie, when the guy
The
is
ashes.
he's cremated the person and he's smashing the teeth and stuff.
Yeah.
When he pours the ashes into the bag says Mr. Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Male, 170 pounds.
Yep,
Like,
170
that's like his
pounds.
information.
Yep.
I was like,
yep.
oh my god, I had to rewind it the first time.
Yeah, I was
Like, did
hoping
just
you'd
say
catch that.
Mr.
It's
Sam
great.
Raimi? Yes.
It's great.
It's so exciting when you see something like that.
Yeah, it's the best. The I like when she runs face to face with her grandma, and she has to fight her off, and she's a dwarf at this point,
Dude.
and she ends up like smashing her with that vase, and she says, "Sorry, grandma."
Sorry, grandma. She says it so shitty. It's like she's the whole reason you came in here and are wandering
Yeah.
around with no plan. What are you gonna do when you find her? You know, like carry her out?
I don't
There's
know.
no
She just
way.
had to go.
That wire
So-
work. When she gets thrown by the tall man, right before that scene. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
gosh, dude! The tall man slapping people is everything.
He's bitch smacking people. He's like bitch smacks. Boom,
Reggie.
Reggie
and
across
she
the room.
goes
Yeah.
flying. So
Yeah.
the wire work is pretty hilarious.
What do you guys think of the bed and breakfast scenes? The first bed and breakfast scene, especially when they find the bed and breakfast.
Oh, her uncle's bed and breakfast.
Her uncle's bed and breakfast, right? Alchemy is the girl's name, by the way. Kimmy, for short.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Not
Mhm.
gonna lie.
Great name. Great name.
Well, like
Actually.
some of these traps, you're just like, some of them are kind of clever, and some of them
Mhm.
are super dangerous. Like, I
Oh,
love
they're
how
all super. They're all super dangerous traps. Yeah.
yeah, I love how they use the grenade in the like beer
Can.
beer
Like,
can.
yeah.
I'm just like, while it's innovative, it's also like you're gonna blow yourself up.
Yeah. So they set up these traps, and then the shotgun to the door trap, which is good.
Yeah.
They go after. Liz. They find her, and then they hightail it out of there. Go back to the bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
And these bed and breakfast scenes are something. What do you guys think of this whole section? Because it makes me laugh. I love it. Especially,
this is where
Good.
the movie starts getting really fun. You know,
yes.
that's how I felt. There's kind of a transition from the first part of the movie to the last. You know, it's just right down the middle.
Yeah, then it's just action. Boom, boom, boom. The rest of it.
Yes.
So we get this great bit of Reggie in. So Liz and Mike go to bed, but they're just literally sleeping together, and, like sleeping. And Reggie's like,
jeans on, no
yeah,
blankets, just
over
on
the
top
covers.
of the.
Yeah. And Reggie's all like, puts his hand on Kimmy's leg. He's like, I'll watch over you tonight too. And so she takes off her shirt, and he follows her
Silk
upstairs.
pajamas.
Yes.
Where did
Then
she
we get this.
silk pajamas?
We get this hilarious sex scene with her and Reggie,
Yeah.
where she's
Yes.
kissing his head and saying, "I love your head, Reg."
Dude, this is such a good sex scene. It's so funny.
It is.
like-
it's very good.
It's like not one of those like awkward scenes to watch. Like, you know, if you're just like, it's so hilariously done.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm just like, dude, what is happening?
When she starts riding like a cowboy.
Yeah. That is next level hilarious.
It's so crazy.
And she's grabbing a hold of his like bald head as she's doing it, and he's just like,
Yes.
look on his face.
His face, like it's so comedic. Like he's like, "Whoa, what is this girl?"
Pretty good for a balding former ice cream.
Yeah, this
guy.
line that he
Right,
says
yeah.
after there's an explosion downstairs, and he says, "What
Yeah.
the hell are we doing?" I'm a 19-year-old kid, and you're a you're a middle-aged balding former ice cream vendor. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, and this is where you get your first red flag of her. Well, second red flag, I should say.
Yeah,
of Kimmy, because she does not respond to this explosion the way a normal person
She acts
would.
really weird about it. Yeah, really weird about it.
She's
Like
laughing.
She's like, Reg.
Yeah.
Also, we have to talk about Mike and Liz's scene.
Yes,
What do you think of this, Lydia?
they're like asleep on the bed, and you see him, and Mike hears his name, and so he like looks up, and they both look at each other, and she says, "I love you," but her mouth doesn't move. Mike's like, "Your mouth isn't moving." But I just thought that was so hilarious that he like is like, "Your mouth isn't moving," and then they realize they're in a dream together.
Yes.
Which is like so
then they
far out
start
there.
dream making out.
Yeah. Which why not?
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting.
It's interesting for sure. It's not like
Yeah.
a terrible scene. It's just like
No,
it's
but
just
yeah,
silly.
it adds to the fantasy element of the movie.
The only
Yeah, it was
thing
just
that would
like-
have been more on the nose is if they were like in a swimming pool.
We don't want to know about your dreams, Derek.
That was probably a terrible like a wet dream. It was a terrible reference. We'll cut this part out.
No, we have to leave it.
It doesn't work when I have to explain it, so it was
Oh, love
pretty
it.
terrible.
Love it. Love it. So yeah, Liz gets kidnapped. And what do you guys think of like I love the scene where she gets kidnapped, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really suspenseful and cool, right? Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. The decoy.
Yeah.
The
Because
cat.
you think he's going to be behind every, like you think the tall man is going to be behind every single one of those curtains she pulls.
Yeah.
And he just is never behind any of them. And then he's at the last one, and he's standing there looking all creepy and breaks through and pulls her out. I'd be fucking terrified if I saw the tall man outside my window. I can tell you that.
I'd scream like
He's
a
so
little girl.
tall.
Yeah.
He's so tall that he's like crouching down, kind of.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
it's
he
so
is.
creepy. So creepy. And those are like not small windows.
No, they were big windows. So he takes her off, kidnaps her. So Reggie and Mike decide to go after her. And they gear up, and Mike's, Reggie and Kimmy have this dialogue where he tells her to take Liz's car and just head south. And he's like, "Well, how will you find me?" "I'll find you if I'm able." And he like takes off. And so she's supposedly out of the picture for a while. And when Mike and Reggie are on the way, they see the tall man. They chase him down in the CUDA, and Reggie just freezes, doesn't shoot him. So the tall man wrecks them. Literally wrecks the car. And it's on fire, and they have to save Reggie before it explodes. What do you guys think of this whole bit?
It was good. It was fun. I felt bad when they wrecked that car, but
Yeah, it's devastating.
yeah, deer in headlights, man. Reggie, what are you doing? Take your shot. Like Eminem said, you got one shot.
Agreed.
One opportunity.
This is your chance to blow.
What do you think, Lydia?
Yeah, it's pretty freaky. This is when they flip.
Yes.
Is this when
yeah.
they flip?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to picture it.
Yeah, they flipped, and Reggie's stuck in the seatbelt, and Mike has
Oh,
to
yes. Okay.
free him before the car explodes.
That's just a great, scene in any movie. Of
Yeah,
like,
it's classic.
then you
Tension
see
building.
the gas trail going
Yeah, you
towards
see-
the fire. You're like,
You
oh
see
no.
the fire coming. I like
Another
the shot when
explosion
he-
coming.
when he kicks open the trunk and you see the gas pour out is really cool. I think that's a good shot.
Hmm.
Because he grabs the bag with her gear. So then, after they're free of the fire and it explodes, there's a great shot where they look up and they see the house.
Hmm.
And they look back at each other and they're framed when the fire's in front of them from the car. And Reggie goes, "Let's kick some ass." And you're like, "Yeah, Reggie, let's do it." So this whole last act is a blast, right?
It is.
This whole
It
third
is.
act is a blast. Let's hit our highlights. I mean, we have Liz escaping from being cremated and kicking old boy into the fire. What do you guys think of this bit?
Ugh.
Oh my gosh. It's like they were clearly going for some tension
Yes.
when they were filming this, but I was
Mhm.
like, why? So she like wakes up and sees him doing this. That's when we get the Sam Raimi
Yep,
bag
Sam
of
Raimi.
bones and stuff.
Yep.
Just hilarious. But she wakes up and like sees what's going on and allows him to put her on the rolls, like the roller, straight to the
Incinerator.
Yeah.
yes, sorry, distracted. Yeah, so I'm just like, her plan was to get almost there and then like I mean I would have started struggling a little bit sooner than
I guess her plan was
almost
to
dead.
catch him. I guess her plan was to catch him off guard, which she does.
Yes.
But yeah, the way it's filmed is just to heighten maximum tension. I could see
Yeah,
myself
yeah.
literally filming this exact shot. I could totally see
Yes.
me framing this shot up and working it and saying, "So here's what's going to happen. She's going to shoot down here, and we're going to,
Yeah.
build the tension." I could see it. Like, I can literally see it.
Yes.
I've done it with certain shots. There's a shot in the new movie where, realistically, she could have walked to the door in 3 seconds, but it takes her 45 because it builds tension. So we, do every angle of her walking to the door.
Yeah.
And it's just because it works. It does build that tension sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's when it's a little silly, but it's fine. It's still fun.
Yeah, it totally works. And like the chain, she picks up the chain
Mm.
that's on the floor and like picks up something and hits him.
The
and
hammer or the shovel and
the
crotches him
shovel,
with it.
yeah,
Yeah, crotches him
which
with
is
it.
a great move every time. Can't go
Yeah,
wrong
every time.
with that move.
Every time.
And then just
It-
sends him straight into the roller, into the inferno. And then he doesn't have the same instinct to just roll off the other side.
No,
he just goes
he can't
straight
do it.
in.
He just straight in. It's so. I love that shot of the hand on the glass.
Yeah,
As he's burning.
That
Yeah.
was disturbing.
Yeah.
it was pretty disturbing.
It's gross. It's cool. Yeah.
Ooh.
My favorite scene of this whole third act, one of my favorite scenes, is the whole sphere chase.
Chainsaw fight. Oh,
Well, the chainsaw fight too. Yes, we'll get to that. But the sphere chase is great. So we get this sphere chase. We get two spheres chasing them. This guy attacks him, and the sphere latches onto his hand, and it's stuck. He's stuck on the door, and Mike and Liz get out of the way, and a second sphere, a gold one, comes. And this one has special powers. And it comes towards the guy, and he knows it's coming, so he chops off his own hand with a hatchet to get away from it. And so
Yeah,
then
he
they're
does.
chased by this sphere, and it's like this, has a laser that blows up a rat. It has my favorite bit. There's this great shot, guys, where we're the sphere's POV, and it bashes through door after door after door. What do you guys
That's
think
the
of this
Sam
whole
Raimi
chase?
shot.
That's a Sam Raimi shot for sure. That's a Sam
if
Raimi shot.
there's
Yeah.
if there's any in this movie, it's the yellow goo and the sphere going through those doors.
Yeah. Yeah. That's 100% a Raimi shot. I agree. What do you guys think of this chase scene?
It's pretty awesome. Pretty good.
And the end of
I
it.
mean, you don't want.
Go
I
ahead.
mean, and they already set up that they need to catch one of these spheres
Yes, they do.
as a key to get into the room that we've seen in the first movie, basically.
Yes. The
With
white
the
room.
prongs. Yeah.
The white room with the prongs.
So
right.
you're like, how are they gonna? How are they possibly catch one? He's like, oh, we just need to like catch one of those. And Reg is like, you go ahead and catch one,
Yeah,
and we'll
good
do
luck
that
with
plan.
that. Yeah. Good luck with that. The end of the sphere chase is excellent because the guy comes back and the sphere drills through the door, busts through it, and right through the dude's back. And then he's in his body, and you see it like in his stomach.
It's throwing him around everywhere. Oh, it's such a cool scene. When they show him like kind of flailing in reverse. How good is that?
It's so cool.
It looks like there's like an alien sphere inside of him.
And the end of the scene, the big payoff, of course, is it tries to come through. Like we get that expanding neck shot.
Yeah.
And then it tries to come through his mouth, and it's stuck in the flesh in his mouth, and just spinning. Awesome shit, right?
It is pretty cool.
Which I was also another character moment of like, why are you doing this? But like, the guy clearly is dead. The guy they're trying to escape from is clearly dead after that. They just watch him go through that, and then he goes over to him and like pokes him and turns him over to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, why? He needed one of those spheres.
Honestly, so we could see the shot.
So we could see it, exactly. No, I get it. It's just like, it's like when you put yourself in the position of the character where and they do things that don't make sense.
Peeing myself the whole time.
I mean, the only way I can kind of rationalize this is that ball made it through a wooden door. It like burned a hole through it, and then it drilled its way through a metal door. So I wouldn't necessarily think that he survived, but I'd be like finding out where that ball was.
That's true, Derek. Yeah, you do want to find out where. Then it can't go anywhere because we've established that's where he gets the idea that maybe when it's in human flesh, it's stuck. Like it stops once it hits flesh. Because we've never seen a ball so far in this series pull out of somebody after it's drilled their head. It's always stuck there.
Yeah.
So it's a good assumption to come to.
And it's like, if it can drill through all of those things, all those doors and everything that it's been through, why is it getting stuck in like easy places like that? Like it was already pretty much out of that guy's head at this point, and it's just like can't go anywhere else. Doesn't quite add up.
It's because
it looked so crazy cool.
It's because what he said, if it's attached to flesh, it's stuck there. Because it's stuck to the hand, won't move. When it's stuck in somebody's head, it can't pull back either. Right. So it's like the flesh stops it.
And it's like, the other part of me was like, oh, he's like turning him around because they need one of the spheres to open the door. But then he's like, nah, I'm not taking that. Yeah. And then he goes and gets someone with the hand.
Which would have been funny to see him like drag this dude and push his face up against it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not touching that. It would have been funny just to get that scene of him saying like, I'm not touching that.
Nah.
We'll go for the hand.
You talked about this, the chainsaw fight. You break this one down.
Real quick before we get to that, when they do get the sphere out of the door and it's got the hand, I love how he's just like, here, Liz, you take this.
Yeah, and then she passes it off to Reg.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not holding this.
It's like hot potato. So he goes down into like the area where they were embalming people, or they attempted to embalm.
We also, real quick, before we get in there, we need to also mention that Reggie earlier fills an embalming fluid with hydraulic acid.
Yeah.
Because that comes into play later.
Hydrochloric.
Yeah, hydrochloric acid. Good, Derek.
So he's going down into this area where the cremation occurred, but and then as he's going down the stairs, you see the person behind the stairs with a mask on. So he I think he trips him, and then Reg pulls out his chainsaw, and he's like, "Come on, you mother!"
Yeah.
And that guy walks over and grabs like the longest chainsaw, like in the history of chainsaws, and you just see like Reg's face, like, "Oh no."
He's like, dang.
I
thought I had this.
We get an good old fashioned chainsaw fight.
I think it's funny when he jumps over the chainsaw.
Oh, dude,
Oh
it's
my
so
gosh.
good. When
It's
he's climbing
so
it,
silly.
it's very funny. It's very silly. And when he
Mhm.
jumps, it's clearly a stuntman, and it like fucking killed me. I was like, and he like does like almost like a karate kick. I was like, fucking Reggie.
he cuts the
Oh,
slices
cut
the
ammo
the
belt off of it.
ammo belt. Yeah,
Yeah, like
Dude,
a
I was like,
bandolier he's
okay.
wearing. Cuts it right off. Yeah, so he jumps over it and then tries to escape, Derek. And then what
Yeah.
ends up happening to old miner boy?
Oh man, he doesn't take the kill because he gets it right up the crotch with the little chainsaw. Which, by
Yep.
the way,
Yeah,
I
he
don't.
does.
Is the chainsaw on at this point? Like Reg's?
I think
don't
he
know.
turns it on because
Yeah.
he revs it. He revs it before he does it, so it's
Yeah.
revved.
But yeah, he goes right at the
Chainsaw
crotch
movie
and
logic.
Yep, exactly.
so,
And gives him the old chainsaw circumcision.
yep. Castrated by chainsaw.
That's a fun. What do you think of this scene, Lydia? I think it's a fun scene.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it hits some comedy beats that you just can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, you can't, and you can't deny
Walking
him,
over
right?
That chainsaw.
Yeah,
Oh my
Can't
god!
deny
I
him
just
when they
need
hit.
like a GIF of that.
yeah. The GIF of like Reggie jumping over.
Yes,
That would be great. That'd be classic. So we're down to the nitty gritty. They find the white room, and guys, the effect of the prongs is hilarious in this one. Like it's the same way they shot the first one, but it's pretty obvious what they're doing, right? I mean, you can see the wall that they're
Mhm.
going behind.
Yeah.
Great, it's fine. But they see it. They see the crushed dwarfs, and they're like, let's burn this place to the ground. And then a tall man comes, and he starts getting his bitch smack on, like you said, Lydia.
Yep. Sends Reg flying.
Yes.
Unsuspecting
Reg
Reg.
flying. Mike gets knocked into the portal, essentially, and they have to jump in after him. Or Reggie does. And he's hanging by his feet.
Yeah.
He uses his feet to stop himself. Meanwhile, the tall man grabs Liz, puts her on a gurney, and is going to embalm her with that embalming fluid. And it's like really cool because he grabs her neck and he taps the
He's looking
vein.
for
and
the
everything.
vein, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I
And
feel like you don't need to do when you're embalming someone usually, right?
I don't know. I'm not a
You don't
mortician.
tap veins that aren't working.
I think he's doing it just because he
It's
wants
scary.
to make her suffer. He wants to make her suffer.
It's effectively
Yeah.
scary for sure.
Yeah.
I hated every second of that. I
So,
was like, no.
So
I did not like
Oh
that.
no, you didn't.
so Mike pulls the ball out of the lock, and the sphere goes and hits the tall man, and we see a huge geyser of the yellow blood spraying everywhere.
Yep.
And then he pulls it out and crushes it like it's nothing.
Like a can,
Yeah,
like aluminum.
aluminum just crushes it right up.
That's the moment, man.
That's the moment.
It's the moment when you realized he ain't messing around.
No, you don't mess with the tall man. That's the moment.
Yeah,
And-
messed up.
He grabs Mike, and this fucking weird alien comes out of his head. This tentacle thing. What do you think of that, Lydia?
Oh my gosh, like a crab claw, like some kind of like insect looking
Yeah.
like piece just like comes. Oh my god. It was so gross because it's like slimy, like covered in that stuff.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
There are
Yeah.
some random moments in this movie.
That's one of them. Yeah, it's very random.
And you're
but
just like,
effective.
that came out of left field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but quite effective. Quite effective.
Yeah.
It makes
Creepy.
so much sense.
Yeah,
He's an
It
alien.
just-
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
I
demon
mean,
or
like, there's
whatever.
just something clearly,
You're like-
more to this guy.
at
than
this
just a
point,
tall
you're just kind
man.
of like, sure.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
Makes
like you
sense.
just accept it.
Why not?
Yeah.
And so she stabs him in the back with the embalming tube. Mike
Mhm.
rips off the little alien guy, little worm, and Reggie turns on the liquid, and he starts melt. What do you guys think of the meltdown?
Awesome.
It's a great meltdown.
Not
It's
as
a
good as
great
Leprechaun when
Oh,
he melts, but
I think it's better
oh,
than
I'm kidding.
Leprechauns.
I'm kidding.
Which is a good meltdown, but this meltdown
It
is
is.
graphic and cool.
Yeah, no, they
And
did a good
yellow.
job with the visual effects.
The highlights for me are his hand melting off
Yeah, for sure. The hand.
and his eyeballs exploding. His eyeballs exploding are rad,
Who
right?
doesn't like the old eyeball exploding trick?
Who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love it? Derek goes through the eyeball exploding trick almost every week when he tries to keep them open.
I'm like struggling right now.
This is not very thrilling.
I don't know if you can
This seems way
tell.
worse.
Oh, I could tell. So yeah,
Derek
what do you guys
sees
think?
eyeballs explode and just makes him want to take a nap.
Take a nap. What do you guys think of this ending? Lydia, what do you think of this ending? Because you've never seen this. It's the first time, and you don't know what happens next. So what do you think of this ending?
Okay, so where are we at? So tall man melts.
They all run out. He catches it all on fire.
The weird
Alchemy
planet
shows
thing
up.
that
Alchemy shows up in a
Alchemy shows
hearse.
up in a hearse to pick them up to save the day, but it's a little too good to be true.
Which we do see the logic of that. We see her broken down, and we see her stumbling upon the hearse.
Yeah.
Both of those scenes happen.
It's just too good to be true, though.
Too good to be true. What did you think when she ripped off her hair and her scalp?
Mean, it honestly did not surprise me. I was just like, yep, known. Like, I wasn't like upset or anything. I was just like, yeah, there were some red flags.
Yep. Should have listened to those.
Was your red flag was?
Kind of...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, was your red flag that only a dead girl could be that into Reggie's head?
No, that wasn't my exact plot, but there were some red flags for sure. But so they get away, and they're just Reg is so smart. He's like, nobody ever says stuff like this. He's like, check the casket, make sure whatever's in there is dead.
That's a great bit. It really is.
Love that. Love it.
Yeah. And he's like, empty, just like I like him.
Yeah. Which, again, with this actor, I took it pretty easy on him throughout this, but like this part, he opens the casket and it just shows him like looking around in the casket. Like, it's empty.
And there could be a little person in the lower part of it.
Yeah,
That's true, I guess.
Like, he's like really checking the details of this casket to determine that it's empty, which cracked me up. But yeah, so they're like, yeah, we're good to go, and then she like rolls the limo screen.
Yeah.
And then it just gets crazy, and she rips her hair off, and she's like,
well, technically Reggie does that, but
yeah. She rips her thing off, and there's that.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
And then
could have been
yeah,
grosser.
see her skull. Yeah, see her like piece of her skull comes off, and then she's laughing, and Reggie's just like, and then we get the shot of Reggie outside the window, and he's like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then it's the whole, it's only a dream, and freaking tall man shows up, and he's like, no, it isn't.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yep. And then they get yanked out of the windows just like the first movie, and we cut to black. Yeah. What'd you think of that ending?
Pretty good. But a little throwback where they're getting pulled out of the window. Now we don't. Are they dreaming? Are they not dreaming?
I know the answer.
Questions.
You'll know the answer when you watch Phantasm 3. Derek, what do you think of this ending?
Well, not knowing the answer, it's really discombobulating because you don't expect to see the tall man. So when he shows up, that's interesting.
After he just melted.
Yeah, right. And then you're like, are there multiple tall men? Or did he like, can he shapeshift? Was he the girl the
Well,
whole time?
yeah, and
But then,
that's the question I had because of the first movie when he was
oh
disguising
yeah,
himself
because
as
he was the
girls or
girl.
something, and we were like, so is he like really into these guys? And then we like get this scene where she was all over Reg's head, you know.
So I'm
She just
wondering.
really likes Reg.
I have a couple of different reads. Like, there's a couple different ways that alchemy could go, right? Because she could be the tall man the entire time, or a minion of the tall man the entire time, or she could be herself until she gets in that limo, and that's when she's taken over.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
Because that's a possibility too, right? I mean, because she does seem like like we said, there's no really problems with her throughout the duration of the movie until those big things happen. So that's a possibility too. And then maybe she gets killed and he takes over her, like he does the woman in Lavender, right? Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
But I do enjoy the ending. It's good. It's fun. It sets up a sequel, and it leaves enough things open that everybody can return. Right, so it doesn't like completely close the door and everything. It leaves it open enough that people can return, which is very important.
Yeah, one might assume that
so
Reggie's
open.
dead.
Yes,
But it's not confirmed.
exactly. And that, I mean, they leave it open ambiguously like that for a reason.
Yeah,
Because they knew if they were going to make another one, they're not going to make one without Reggie.
yeah.
Who would do that?
I do. I do like the ending. I think it is fun, and especially when like Reggie's twirling her hair and he pulls the skull off. Like, it's kind of unexpected, but it's also kind of expected because we saw her dead already. So it has a it's kind of a twist, but it's a twist you could see coming.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it's both. It's I mean, of course I expected to see the tall man again. That's how you have to end these movies. One last scare, right? Especially in the 80s. That's how they ended these movies, Or at least a hint that the tall man's alive, because that's how they end these kind of movies. So him coming back wasn't necessarily shocking, but it was, the way it happened is really cool. To pull out of the window is a good callback. And the fact that he just doesn't waste any time to pull out of the window and cut straight to written and directed by Don Coscarelli, it's just like, boom, we're in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like it. And that is Phantasm II. Let's talk about our ratings for this one. Lydia, let's start with you. What do you think of Phantasm Deuce?
I want to start with you guys on this one because I don't know. I genuinely don't know where I'm at.
Okay, Derek, let's start with you. What do you think of Phantasm 2? What would you rate it?
I was trying to figure out what I rated the
first one.
The first one, and I don't have that super handy. So it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It's better made. Obviously, it had a bigger budget.
Yeah, I think it's way better made than the first movie. Yeah,
for sure. And it's very 80s. Mm-hmm. There's just from the the film quality, I guess. Like, you could tell it was made in the 80s. Mm-hmm. It's got good callbacks to Sam Raimi. It takes you in places you didn't know that it was going to take you. It gives you a little bit more backstory, or at least exposure to like the balls. Like, those things are so scary. Mm-hmm. You think about them, because they're just like these spherical things flying through the air, just stabbing into people's heads
and sucking their brains out.
So you're just like, anytime you see a silver bullet, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, if I ever see one flying, I'm fucking out.
Yep, get out of there. Get behind a concrete door, because we know that wood and metal doors don't do it. But but it's a lot of fun.
Door.
Yeah, flesh.
Yeah, we're a flesh door. There you go. Hold up the Necronomicon, it's made of flesh.
That's true. It's true.
Let them duke it out.
Stop it.
But it's a lot of fun. It's very nostalgic. Seen it a couple dozen times. I am gonna give this movie 6 pumpkins.
6, okay. You see, I'm way more into this movie than you. I'm giving this movie an 8. It's an 8 pumpkins. I love
Nice.
it. Huh?
I said nice.
Yeah, I think it's super well made. It's super fun. It has a tone that I love from these kind of movies. I like the mix of humor and horror, because this one is kind of the Evil Dead 2 of the franchise. Honestly, I think this is the Evil Dead 2 because it mixes the horror and the comedy pretty well. So yeah, I'm giving it an 8. I think the gore is good, the effects are good, the score is a 10 out of 10 for me. The score is just immaculate, and there's some great shots, good performances, especially Reggie. Reggie's the man. So 8 pumpkins for me. What do you think, Lydia?
Change my rating. By the
What are you
way.
changing it to?
It's gonna have. So I just found my old rating, and I rated the first one a 7. So it's got to be higher than that because it was a better movie. I'm gonna go. I'll go 7.75.
Okay, 7.75. I'm at an 8. Lydia, what are you at?
I think I'm gonna go 7. For for all the reasons that you guys just said, pretty much.
Yeah, 7.
Let me see. Yeah, I think a 7. It was pretty enjoyable. I was kind of in a weird place mentally when I was trying to watch them, so that's why I watched it twice. So yeah, I like it, and it keeps me like I want to watch more. So I think all around it was pretty good movie.
Yeah. We'll eventually get to part 3, which I think is a lot of fun as well. Then we'll start getting into the downward slope of the series, into the dark times of part 5. So, guys, you know what time it is?
I do.
It's time to Atkinize this movie.
Thrill me.
Which this is one of the hardest Akkinizations we've ever done. Because there's not a lot of characters, right? And we know one character is indispensable. We can't recast Reg. And we can't recast the tall man.
Right.
So who does Tom Atkins play in this?
I would say the priest.
Nobody else.
The preacher.
Yeah. It would almost have to be the priest, right?
Oh,
yeah, but he's too cool for that one though.
There's also
you could recast Mike since he's already been recast.
Yeah.
Hey, Lydia, what were you gonna say?
A young Tom Atkins.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably take anybody in that role, honestly.
You just hated that actor.
I didn't hate him. I just didn't think he was very good. Like he's fine. I mean, he's fine. He did fine. But I feel like this movie could have been better
with a different actor. Yeah.
I agree. Do we know if this was his first role?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But he was not the best.
Yeah, he had made a couple movies. His film debut was he made a movie called The Ladies Club in '86. He was in Near Dark, but he was teenage cowboy, so he wasn't a big part. So he's in Battery, he's a goon in Batteries Not Included. So this was his first lead role.
I love that movie.
Batteries Not Included, it's great.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I watched it during quarantine.
It's like Short Circuit.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good one. I just needed some fun nostalgia to get me through the dark times.
Mm-hmm.
And
Steven
Spielberg produced movies, you're in. So what do you guys think? Who's Tom Atkins playing?
Yeah, he's either going to be the priest or the person who releases Mike from the mental hospital that he was in.
No, that guy's part is so small and thankless.
It is small.
So we'll have to go with the priest.
He would have stole the scene.
Yeah,
We'll have to
there's
go
no
with the
police
priest.
officers to typecast him, so
I'd say the priest. Let's do it. He's going to be the priest.
Yeah, we'll say priest. That guy did do a good job, though.
Yeah.
But
In an alternate universe where Reggie wasn't around, Tom Atkins would have been a fucking excellent Reggie.
Yeah. Then that sex scene would have made way more sense.
Yes, yes, it would.
Dang. What is it about Reggie that is so cool?
It's
He just
because
happened
he's.
to
Put your
be in a
finger on.
movie.
It's
He's
because
got the
he's. Not,
charisma.
it's because he's not cool. That's why he's so cool. Is he's not cool, but he's got charisma, like you said, and he's got this swagger. It's kind of like the Ash factor, right? Like
Right,
Ash is
yeah.
an idiot, but he can kick ass with the Evil Dead, and he's funny and charismatic, and he's also handsome as fuck because he's Bruce Campbell. So that helps
Exactly.
too.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just that fun. You want to have a beer with him and hang out with him because he's fun to be around. And Reggie's horniness goes up in the next movie. So I can't wait to get to it.
Perfect.
So Derek, it is your turn to pick. What are we watching next week?
Man, this
Right,
a
it
tough
is your
one.
turn to pick, right?
It is.
Okay.
It's a tough one. Let's see. I've been thinking about this all day. I have not decided. So I'm gonna have to make a decision. All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Oh,
You guys
Don't do
ready?
it.
okay.
Don't do it.
Oh god.
I'm gonna do it.
Don't do
Okay.
it.
A Vampire in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. Wes Craven's A Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yep.
All right. Eddie Murphy.
Yep.
Is that still on HBO Max?
I don't know. I bought a copy of it.
Let's find out where Vampire in Brooklyn is. It is streaming on Amazon Prime. It's on Paramount Plus if you have that. It is on the Roku channel, Sling TV, and you can rent it from pretty much everywhere else. So Vampire in Brooklyn, 1995's Vampire in Brooklyn. That's a good one, Derek. I thought for sure you were going to say like Rawhead Rex or some shit.
I have class.
Sometimes, yeah. Little housekeeping. The Q&A will be up next week. It's being edited and put up, so we'll have the Q&A for the premiere. We'll be announcing in the next couple weeks when you guys can catch Secret Admirer, because we made some decisions on that. So that'll be up in the next couple weeks as well. We have our t-shirts and posters available at HiLaProductions.com. So go to HiLaProductions.com and order those. Get your Screen Bloody Movie shirts, mugs, other shirts, Secret Admirer shirts, Secret Admirer posters. Anything else I'm not thinking about, Derek? Did I miss anything?
Oh yeah, you forgot about the drawing for $1 billion.
That's not a thing.
Make
That's
a
not a
comment. Make a comment in the section below, and you could win. You could win $1 billion.
You cannot win $1 billion, but you could win a billion billion amounts of love from us for commenting. So be sure to comment, like, share, and subscribe. We'll have news on the upcoming project soon too, hopefully. So we'll be putting that out there, and once we know that, we'll start putting casting announcements and all that good stuff as well. So it's exciting stuff on the horizon. You can follow us on social media. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. Follow us on Instagram at Scream Bloody Movies. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow Derek at DDogleyMaster. Follow Lydia at Lydia is Spooky. And you can follow me at Racket. Again, guys, like, share, subscribe. And we love you. So until next week, for Lydia, Judy, and Derek Lemaster, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.